Think back to 2024. You were a target. What if the biggest, most emotional, and most talked about moments of the last election weren't just politics as usual? What if they were part of a coordinated campaign built with a single purpose: to control how you voted? They used artificial intelligence, powerful emotional stories, and straight-up fabrications to manipulate your choice. The point wasn't just to win an election. It was to warp your sense of reality. It's time to pull back the curtain on exactly how they lied to you. During the run-up to the 2024 election, our screens were flooded with false information. How much are we talking about? Researchers identified, on average, about 9 new, false election-related claims every single week. This wasn't just random noise. It was a systematic campaign designed to stir up doubt, spark anger, and chip away at your trust in the whole democratic process. And it came from all over, from foreign governments in Russia, China, and Iran trying to sow chaos, to domestic campaigns and influencers looking for an edge. They targeted everyone, but the playbook was specific. We're going to break down the 3 biggest categories of lies you were told: the AI reality distortion, the great economic illusion, and the myth of the pre-stolen election. Lie number 1, the AI reality distortion field. History will remember the 2024 election as the first true AI election. For years, experts warned about deepfakes. Well, this was the year they were finally deployed with terrifying ease and impact. AI wasn't a sci-fi concept anymore. It was a weapon in the information war. One of its most powerful uses was creating fake images and audio to smear candidates. Early in 2024, voters in New Hampshire got a robocall from a voice that sounded identical to President Joe Biden's, telling them not to vote in the primary. It was a deepfake, eventually traced back to a political consultant. The goal was simple: suppress the vote by tricking people. As the race heated up, the attacks got more visual and went more viral. A video that racked up over 4 million views appeared to show Kamala Harris giving a rambling, incoherent speech. Forensic analysis later proved the audio was digitally manipulated to make her sound incompetent, but by the time the truth got out, millions had already seen the lie. In another instance, a fabricated story about a hit-and-run involving Harris from 2011, which was linked to Russian disinformation networks, was viewed millions of times. It wasn't just videos. AI image generators became a propaganda playground. After Elon Musk's social media platform X launched its own AI tool with few guardrails, it was flooded with provocative images. Musk himself shared an AI-generated image with his 196 million followers that depicted Kamala Harris as a communist dictator. Other users created hyper-realistic and bizarre images, like one showing Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in a plane's cockpit during the 9/11 attacks. These images, while absurd, were made to provoke, confuse, and blur the line between what's real and what's not. The Trump campaign was a target too. In a strange twist, after a large rally in Detroit, Trump himself falsely claimed on social media that real images of the massive crowd were AI-generated and that nobody was there, a claim that journalists on the ground debunked immediately. Politicians began using the very existence of AI as a shield, claiming that real, unflattering videos of them were actually deepfakes. The lies also targeted specific groups of voters. AI-generated images of Donald Trump posing with black voters, created by conservative media figures, circulated widely online to create a false impression of his support within that community. While it's hard to measure the impact of one image, the strategy was clear: create a fake consensus to sway undecided voters. Lie number 2, the great economic illusion. One of the most powerful lies of 2024 wasn't a deepfake or a meme. It was a feeling. A widespread feeling that the economy was in shambles, no matter what the data said. And this disconnect between the numbers and the feeling, it wasn't an accident. First, here are the facts from 2024. Unemployment was near historic lows. The GDP was growing steadily, and the brutal inflation from the past few years was finally cooling down. By most objective standards, the U.S. economy was doing exceptionally well. So well, in fact, that on the eve of the election, The Economist magazine ran a cover story calling the American economy the envy of the world. But that's not what millions of voters felt. Poll after poll revealed a deep, stubborn pessimism. In one survey, 52% of voters said they were financially worse off than 4 years ago, and only 38% thought the economy under Biden and Harris was good. This gap between reality and perception was nicknamed the vibe session, and it was relentlessly exploited. Disinformation campaigns zeroed in on the very real pain of high prices. While inflation rates had dropped, the price of groceries and gas was still higher than before the pandemic, a real source of stress for families. These campaigns amplified that pain, framing it not as the aftershock of a global pandemic, but as the direct fault of the current administration. Stories about out-of-control spending and a looming economic collapse dominated social media, drowning out news of job growth and rising wages. The message was simple and emotional. You're paying more, you're struggling, and it's their fault. Research shows that once people feel a major price shock, their unhappiness with the government sticks around long after the data improves. The power of this lie was that it taught people to distrust official data. Voters were told not to believe the unemployment numbers or GDP figures, but to trust their gut, and their gut fed a steady diet of negative narratives, told them things were bad. It created a world where good economic news was dismissed as propaganda, and every bad sign was treated as gospel. The third great lie of 2024 was a chilling echo of 2020, the claim that the election was rigged before a single vote was even cast. This wasn't just about questioning the final result. It was about destroying faith in the entire process. Throughout his campaign, Donald Trump consistently told his supporters the only way he could lose was if the other side cheated. At rallies, he'd say, "We have to make sure that we stop them from cheating because they cheat like dogs." This wasn't new, but in 2024, the claims became more intense and more specific. The disinformation zeroed in on a few key targets. Mail-in voting and voting machines were again falsely painted as being full of fraud. And a powerful new narrative emerged: mass voting by non-citizens. Right-wing media and online influencers blasted out stories of hordes of migrants being registered to vote. One viral video, later confirmed to be a Russian-made fake, showed a man claiming to be a Haitian migrant bragging about voting in 2 different counties. These stories were engineered to spark fear and create the impression that the election was being stolen by outsiders. This wasn't just talk. It had dangerous, real-world consequences. Election officials, already facing threats after 2020, found their jobs became even more perilous. A 2022 survey found that nearly 2/3 of them said the constant spread of false information was making their work more dangerous. This climate of intimidation made it harder to find volunteer poll workers, straining the very system that makes our democracy function. And what's most telling is that this erosion of trust is no longer a one-sided issue. After the 2024 results came in, some groups on the left began to question the outcome's legitimacy, echoing the same kind of election denial language. A poll found a significant percentage of Harris voters believed the election wasn't legitimate. The lie had come full circle. The goal was never just about one candidate winning. It was about making everyone lose faith in the system. The why, connecting the dots. So why? What's the end game in spreading all these lies? It's about something much bigger than one election. It's about creating chaos and destroying trust. When you don't know if a video is real, when you don't believe official economic data, when you think the whole voting process is rigged, you become cynical. You check out. Disinformation is engineered to trigger a powerful emotional response. especially fear and anger. In a country that's already deeply divided, people are far more likely to believe and share something that confirms their own biases and attacks the other tribe, even if they suspect it isn't true. The lies of 2024 were designed to carve those divisions even deeper. They were meant to make you see your fellow citizens not as neighbors with different views, but as enemies trying to destroy your way of life. That kind of distrust is poison to a democracy, which needs a shared sense of reality to even function. AI deepfakes, economic illusions, then a pre-stolen election. This was the playbook in 2024. You were targeted by people who wanted to manipulate your perception and weaponize your emotions. But recognizing the playbook is the first step to making it powerless. The answer to disinformation isn't censorship, it's critical thinking. It's about building the habit of questioning what we see online, seeking out credible sources, and resisting that emotional urge to share things that feel true but might not be. Our democracy depends on us being an informed public. It depends on you. If you found this analysis valuable, please share this video. The more people who understand these tactics, the harder it will be for them to work next time. And make sure to subscribe for more deep dives that uncover the hidden forces shaping our world.